podcaster, a blogger, and her mission with her blog, Cleverly Changing, is to bring awareness to sickle cell and healthy living. And she does that through her blog, through her podcast. I've had the pleasure of interviewing her on my blog and Facebook page. And she's just someone who I know is going to inspire us this morning. And so please help me welcome Elle Cole.
Hello, everybody. So it's an honor to be able to share my story with you. There's a quote that I like to say that goes, "Be strong and tough, for one day this pain will be useful to you." I remember the day like it was just yesterday. I was laying on my bed. My legs were stretched out. I was cradling a baby in my arm, and the other was in my lap in a boppy pillow. I was giving her milk from a bottle that had taken me an eternity to pump. The blackout curtains in the room were drawn together, and the room was just dimly lit while I was feeding my babies. My husband walked into the room and tossed the envelopes from the mail on the bed. I glanced down at the letters, and just like a mom who multitasks with multiples, I used my nail and I opened a letter. Why I chose to open the letter was because mail was really my connection with the adult world. And I saw that one of the letters was from the health department. I had never received a letter from the health department before, so I was curious. I wanted to know what it was going to say. So I unfolded the letter after I opened it, and a little card dropped out. And the card read, "Your daughter has hemoglobin SS, sickle cell anemia." You see, when I was 22 weeks pregnant, I found out that my husband and I both had the sickle cell trait. I had never had a conversation about it before, never heard about it, and so in that moment, I felt warm, salty tears roll down from my face onto the brown, buttery skin of my babies. And in that instant, I felt like all the dreams I had for my child were being snatched one by one. And so I looked at my babies while I was feeding them, and you know, my heart was beating faster. And they looked back at me, and they smiled. In that moment, I knew everything was going to be all right, because I was going to do some research, and I was going to find out how to take care of my babies. Because with sickle cell, it can affect your red blood cells, and when they collect together, it can cause excruciating pain. And it can affect every organ in the body. I thought that was the worst day of my life. But you know what? It wasn't. When my daughter was 6 years old, I was homeschooling, and it was her kindergarten year, and we were taking care of her, and like a mother, I was around her and I was watching her grow, but something was wrong. In my spirit, I felt something was wrong, but as a mother with a child with a chronic illness, I And I just kind of blamed sickle cell, because I blamed sickle cell for all of my problems. But when I couldn't justify what was going on and what I was witnessing any longer, I realized that I needed to make an appointment at the doctor's office. She was thirsty, and the more she drank, she would go use the bathroom. And her body was losing weight. So I went to the doctor and I said, "Doctor, what's wrong with my baby? She has sickle cell, but I don't know if this is the cause." He said, "Give me a few minutes, and I need you to get her to give me a urine sample." So just like us adults don't want to give a urine sample, imagine getting a child to pee in a cup. But she did, and after 10 minutes, that really felt like 10 long whole hours, he walked back and he said, "We know what's wrong with your child." And I felt a sense of relief come over me because I had answers. And then he said a few words next. He said, "Your daughter has type 1 diabetes." God, I thought, why would you do this to my daughter? You see, 19 years ago, I actually quit a job because I don't like needles. I did not want to give the patients at the assisted care facility insulin. But as fate would have it, you will have to learn how to face your fears. And when it's your child, you will do anything to keep them alive. And so, for the next 3 days, I had to learn how to keep her alive. I had insulin in one hand and a syringe in the other, and I squeezed her little arm and I gave her the insulin. Then I pulled back the covers in the cold room and I listened to the monitors beeping. And she turned to me and she looked up at me and she said, "Mommy, I just won a new Lego set." And I was like, "What?" You know, my heart was beating again. And I was feeling overwhelmed. And she said, "Mom, yeah, I was watching the TV and I got a call claim my prize." She had no care in the world because she knew that everything would be all right. And so while I was worrying, I looked over at my baby and I said, "Everything will be all right. Together, we will learn how to be strong and tough. And I would learn how to use my pain and allow it to birth purpose in my life." And so I tell you, when you are facing situations that are overwhelming, it's okay to cry. It's okay to take that emotion in. But you have to give it over to God and allow those worries to be taken from you. And just like I look at my daughter and I smile and see hope in her, every day I see hope and life. And it's ironic that I'm sharing my story with you because September is National Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And it is my goal that this conversation that we're having here, that all of you will have it with somebody someday, so that we will know that you have to get tested and know whether or not you carry the trait, because we all can be strong and tough and use our pain to birth our purpose, because someday it will be useful to us.